A United Nations delegation visited the KwaZulu-Natal earlier this week after the province was rocked by violent looting and riots 2 weeks ago. Their representatives traveled to affected communities before they met with provincial leadership to assess the effect of the unrest in the area. Coordinator of the United Nations, Ms. Nados Begele Thomas, who led this two-day visit, joins us now to talk about the outcome. Good evening to you, and thank you so much for your time tonight. Let's talk about your assessment as you visited the province. What did you witness on the ground?
Good evening to you too, and to the viewers. We went and met with various authorities. We started with the Premier, and then also met with the eThekwini municipality and all the others that were there, including the civil society organization. But we also visited some of the affected areas, including an Isipingo shopping center, and we talked to the business community. And you know, the cardinal message from the Premier to the community, and including the business community and the civil society organizations, is the fact that, you know, this whole crisis has completely unveiled the fault lines and, you know, the basic socioeconomic inequality in the country. And actually, from the business community, what we heard is that we cannot have peace unless the community next to us, which is across the street, have a peaceful and dignified life. So it was a very telling, visit that we had, but it just, you know, confirmed what the government already has been talking about, that we need to address the inequality, the unemployment and poverty that exists in this country, where, you know, the haves and have-nots it has reached a stage where the haves and have-nots cannot coexist. And therefore, you know, I think, you know, from my point of view, this is a call for action. And one good thing is that everybody, you know, unanimously is now concerned and is ready to support and play his or her part.
Let's talk about the people on the ground. Did you have an opportunity to speak to them and hear their views?
Certainly, that's what I you know, like for example, in the Isipingo shopping center, we met those that lost their livelihood. And we also met, you know, people that are really there to support. The community has come together, the business community has come together to support, you know, those that have lost their livelihoods and try to rebuild. And therefore, you know, when we talk to them, you know, their concern, you know, interesting, you know, is yes, we've lost all this, and they're shocked. They are, you know, in disbelief, but they are concerned about the future. They were forward looking. And what they're saying is that, yes, stability has come, and there is, you know, stability actually. We saw the force, you know, that is there, and people have gone back to rebuilding their shops and going back to doing business. But they're saying that, you know, we cannot have peace. We cannot have peace unless we resolve the problem of the others. And, you know, and they're saying that, you know, we have to really join hands with the government, which is the provincial government, but also the municipal authorities and also the national government, and try to see on how to address the real dire needs of the community that are living next to us. And they say, you know, as we resolve inequality, there will not be peace. And this realization is very critical and very important. And it rejoins and reinforces the whole society approach that the president has been talking. And I think, you know, our support would go in that same line.
And what advice did you have for the government officials you met with, and also what kind of support, you know, at a practical level will you be offering this province?
Actually, you know, we had a very good 2 solid meetings with the authorities. And, you know, I would say with honesty that, you know, the presentations that were made on the strategy in meeting the humanitarian needs, but also the medium and long-term needs. And, using the words of the Premier himself, he said that the medium and long-term have now not been the medium and long-term that we know. They are also emergency, and they have to be implemented with urgency. And it's very interesting to see how well planned, the strategies and the plan of action are. The same thing when we went to the eThekwini municipality, where we spoke with the entire, authorities there under the leadership of the speaker. Because the mayor was not feeling well. It was very interesting what they had. Their program is solid. They have put in place a one plan, and it's really solid. So what we have agreed is that we do not want to go there and say, okay, we're going to do this and that. So what we said is that let's just have another session and let's look at the whole crisis situation right now and see on how the UN collective support could accompany them in implementing their plans, which is already well articulated and well elaborated. And we said that, we'll have the civil society organizations, the private sector, together we can identify priority areas with timeline, benchmarks, and everything. So we are going to send technical teams that would be working with the provincial authority and with also the mayor's office, and try to see on the urgent matters where the UN's expertise is required to support their plans. So this is what we have agreed as we're talking. I was just in a meeting with my colleagues from the 17 agencies, and what we have agreed is that we'll send a technical team, as early as Tuesday or Wednesday to meet with the technical teams of the provincial government. So that's where we are, and it's really important that we have, as media also, you accompany the government and the people and say, everybody should come together. Right now, this is a time of solidarity for a collective action and a whole society approach to this problem.
And finally, did they raise any issues of the racial tensions and how this will be handled going forward?
Well, certainly the racial issues, actually we handled it together with the provincial government, but also later on we had a meeting with Accord. And, truly what we have said is social cohesion is very critical and very important, and moral regeneration is critical. And we talked with two bishops that were there, apart from the other civil society organizations, and our actions would be really accentuated in terms of building the social cohesion and, creating the moral regeneration that is required in order to do the healing and also erase this racial, tension that exists.
All right. Thank you so much for your time, and we'll certainly keep tabs on the assistance as you speak about it then to see what kind of help is given to those on the ground. That was Resident Coordinator of the United Nations, Nados Bekele Thomas. Let's